Okay, welcome back in. I'm now going to be reviewing the last day of hockey that when it came to the regular season. There were 6 games on tap. There were really only two meaningful ones, but we'll still go through all the games and see who scored, see where they're see see who scored, see who won, and where they finished off in the standings. Starting with the Seattle Kraken, they were finishing off in Minnesota. In the first period, Kaprizov would kick things off, getting his 46th goal of the season. No assist on that play, by the way. 4 minutes and 4 seconds of that frame, a power play goal to note. In the second period, Matt Beniers would get his 15th goal of the year from Schultz and Bjorkstrad, a power play goal with exactly 9 minutes to go in the frame. After 40 minutes of play, the Kraken had tied the game up at 1. In the third period, Yanni Gourde would get his 10th goal of the year from Tanev, a short-handed marker, 6 minutes and 38 seconds of the frame, giving the Kraken a 2-1 lead. Zuccarello would tie the game up with 8 minutes and 47 seconds to go. For Zuccarello, that would be his 12th goal of the year from Boldy and Middleton. Cardy would give the Kraken a 3-2 lead with 2 minutes and 40 seconds to go. For Cardy, that would be his 11th goal of the year from Bjorkstrand and McCann. Yanni Gourde would get his second goal of the game, his 11th of the season, I should say, assisted by Tanev and Alexiak. It would be a short-handed goal, an empty net one, to note, with 1 minute and 46 seconds to go. Faber would add a late goal for the Wild, a power play goal, his 8th of the year from Boldy and Hartman, and that goal will happen with 1 minute and 5 seconds remaining on the clock. But unfortunately, the Minnesota was not able to mount a comeback, so 4-3 would be the final score in favor of the Kraken. So with that, Seattle finished the season with a record of 34, 35, and 13. A very disappointing season considering they made the playoffs last year, beat Colorado, and sent Dallas to Game 7. But unfortunately, they lost that. But to go to 2 rounds of the playoffs to missing it the next season is surely a disappointment, to say the least. After the game, Minnesota finished with a record of 39, 34, and 9. Missing the playoffs for the first time in a while because they made it the last X amount of seasons. So no postseason action in the state of Minnesota. Alrighty, we're going to take a look at what's happened next, which was between the Jets and the Penguins, the Canucks, I should say. Just like a lot of games, either they're both eliminated or they were locked in place. Both these teams already knew where they were going to finish at the end of this matchup, so it didn't matter if one team won over the other. It would play no significant role in the overall standings where these teams were sitting. So in the first period, Garland would kick things off for the Canucks, getting his 20th of the year, 5 minutes and 22 seconds of the opening frame. Velarde would tie the game up with 8 minutes and 34 seconds to go. For Velarde, that would be his 22nd goal of the season from Iafallo and Lambert. After 20 minutes of play, we were all tied up at 1. Perfetti would give the Jets a 2-1 lead, getting his 18th of the year from Appleton and Schmidt. Just 55 seconds in the second period. Elias Lindholm would tie the game up with a power play goal, getting his 15th of the year from Hughes and Garland, and that goal happened with 2 minutes and 49 seconds to go. In the third period, if I pronounce this name correctly, Chibrikov would get his first goal in the National Hockey League, assisted by Niederreiter, 5 minutes and 18 seconds of the third period. Perfetti would add a late goal with 2 minutes and 5 seconds to go, his second goal of the game, 19th of the season, and it was also an empty netter. So 4-2 would be the final score in favor of the Jets. With the win, they finished the season off with a record of 52, 24, and 6, second in the Central Division. And after the loss, the Vancouver Canucks are still first in the Pacific Division with a record of 50, 23, and 9. Okay, so the next matchup took place in Calgary, where they played host to the San Jose Sharks. So both of these teams missing out on the playoffs. One team I'd say I'm not that surprised. The other one I thought they would have been moving in a bit better direction with the Flames, but unfortunately for the second straight year, they will they will not have any playoffs in the city of Calgary. In the first period, Klapka would get his first NHL goal with 7 minutes and 47 seconds to go, giving the Flames a 1-0 lead. Coleman would strike with his 30th of the season from Zary and Anderson, and that goal happened with 5 minutes and 20 seconds to go in the frame. So after 20 minutes of play, the Flames had a 2-0 lead. Shillington would increase the lead to 3-0, getting his third goal of the year from Kuzmenko and Mangiapane, 3 minutes and 53 seconds of the second period. Rooney would increase the lead to 4-0, getting his third goal of the year from Pospisil and Coronado, with 6 minutes off the clock. Uyghur would increase the lead to 5-0, less than a minute after that, getting his 20th of the year from Miramanov and Blake Coleman. So after 40 minutes of play, the Flames had a 5-0 lead. In the third period, Zetterlund would strike, getting his 24th goal of the year from Granlund and Graf, and that was a power play goal, but it was just 9 seconds remaining in the third, so no other scoring after that. 5-1 would be the final score in favor of the Flames. With that victory, the Flames finished the season 38-39-5, and after the loss, the Sharks couldn't even get 20 wins. They finished with a record of 19-54-9. Alrighty, so the next matchup took place in Colorado, where they were finishing off their season against the Edmonton Oilers. Now, I'm not going to jinx this. I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but if both of these teams met in the Western Conference Final for the second time in 2 years, I wouldn't complain. I just think that it would go longer than 4 games. I don't really see it being a sweep if they were to meet up. Okay, I just got to straighten that out now, and let's roll. So the Oilers didn't dress a lot of their starters, and the Avalanche did, which was strange because to me, if you're already locked in, why take a chance in case somebody gets hurt on the last game of the season? But nobody got hurt, and thankfully everything went okay for the Avalanche. In the first period, Nichushkin would kick things off, getting his 27th goal of the year from Lehkonen and Mittelstadt, just 1 minute and 19 seconds in the opening frame. Rantanen would increase the lead to 2-0, getting his 42nd goal of the year from Taves and McKinnon, 5 minutes and 48 seconds of the opening frame. Nichushkin would get his second goal of the game, his 28th of the year from McKinnon and Makar, a power play goal, 7 minutes and 37 seconds of that same period. Manson would increase the lead to 4-0, getting his 8th of the year from Walker and Trennan, and that goal happened with 9 minutes and 43 seconds to go on the clock. Dylan Holloway would finally get the Edmonton Oilers on the board, getting a power play goal, his 6th of the year from Broberg and Kulak, and that goal happened with 4 minutes and 38 seconds to go. A power play goal. I'm pretty sure I already said that. So after 20 minutes of play, it was wild that the Avalanche had a 4-1 lead, and the teams are actually supposed to be reversed. So that's my bad. The game was in Colorado, and the right team is supposed to be the home team. So I do apologize for that. Just the 1 goal to report in the second period. Zach Parise would get his 5th goal of the year from Colton and Wood, and that happened with exactly 8 minutes to go on the clock. So 5-1 would be the final score in favor of the Avalanche. So with that, they finished the season off with 50 wins, 25 losses, and 7 overtime/shootout losses, 3rd in the Central Division. And as to the Oilers, after the loss, they're 49-27-6. They were in second place forever, and that's where they're going to sit at the end of the regular season calendar year. That makes a whole lot of sense. Alrighty, so now we're getting into the very meaningful games. 3 Pacific teams and 1 Central team. Let's kick things off in Vegas, where they were playing host to the Anaheim Ducks. Now, Vegas, at the time, I believe, were sitting 3rd in the Pacific Division, and the Ducks clearly missed the playoffs. I think that's now 6 years in a row, if I'm not mistaken. So, it's tough times in California. Well, I mean, if you're a Ducks fan, at least. Alrighty, so the Ducks were coming into this contest hoping to play spoilers. If they win, then Vegas would would be locked in at the number 2 wildcard spot. And again, if Vegas had beaten the Ducks, they would have finished third in the Pacific Division. So let's dive in and see how this contest went. So there's no scoring in the first. In the second, Frank Vatrano will get his 35th goal of the year from Fowler and Strome. And that goal happened 4 minutes and 25 seconds of the opening of the second period. Jack Eichel would tie the game up with 1 minute and 13 seconds to go. Eichel would get his 31st goal of the year from Theodore and William Karlsson. So after 40 minutes of play, the Vegas Golden Knights and the Ducks were all tied up at 1. In the third period, Jake Lacombe would make it 2-1 in favor of the Ducks, getting his second goal of the season from Genther and Karlsson. Vatrano would get his second goal of the game just 9 plus 20, 29 seconds after that. For Vatrano, that would be his 36th goal of the year from Strome and Zegras. And Vatrano would then get a natural hat trick, getting his 37th goal of the season from Lacombe. And that goal happened with 15 seconds to go. A power play goal to note. So, the Ducks did their part. And after the win, they finished with a record of 27-50-5. And after the loss, the Vegas Golden Knights dropped they're sitting at 45-29-8. They would end up putting themselves in a peculiar position because if LA won, then the Golden Knights would drop down to a wild card position. And how fitting is it that that's the last team that I will be reviewing, as the Los Angeles Kings were playing host to the Chicago Blackhawks. So let's see if I can get the teams' logos up on the screen, and we'll see how the last game of the NHL season went. So in the first, Reichel would kick things off with 4 minutes and 21 seconds to go. For Reichel, that would be his 5th goal of the season, giving the Blackhawks a 1-0 lead heading into the second period. Arvidsson would tie the game up 4 minutes and 37 seconds in that frame. For Arvidsson, that would be his 5th goal of the year from Deneau and more. Byfield would give the Kings their first lead of the night, his 20th of the year from Deneau and Spence. A power play goal with 3 minutes and 54 seconds to go. Trevor Moore would increase the lead to 3-1, getting his 31st goal of the year from Arvidsson and Philippe Deneau. So after 40 minutes of play, the Kings had a 3-1 lead. Johnson would cut the deficit to 3-2, getting his 17th of the year from Korchinski and Donato. A power play goal, 1 minute and 28 seconds into the third. Joey Anderson would tie the game up, getting his 5th goal of the year from Slagert. 3 minutes and 42 seconds of the same period, making it 3-3. Donato would increase the lead to 4-3 with 6 minutes and 28 seconds taken off of the clock. For Donato, that would be his 12th of the year, assisted by Antwistle. Victor Arvidsson would get his 2nd goal of the game, and very good timing as well, because there was just 1 minute and 21 seconds remaining. For Arvidsson, that would be his 6th goal of the year from Byfield and Kempe, and that goal happened with 1 minute and 21 seconds remaining on the clock. This game would need overtime. Adrian Kempe would score just 6 seconds in, so it's pretty much like right off the draw. Kempe got a hold of the puck and fired the puck past Mrazek, I do believe, who was the starting goaltender for the Chicago Blackhawks. So 5-4 would be the final score in favor of the LA Kings. So with the win, they bump up to 3rd in the Pacific Division, and they finished the season with a record of 44-27-11. And after the loss, no surprise there, the Blackhawks finished with a miserable 23-53-6, guaranteed to get a very high pick in this upcoming draft. Okay, that takes care of the NHL season. For those that have been with me from the very start, thank you very much for your time. It truly means a lot for those that take time to watch these videos. So I can't thank you all enough. I really do appreciate it. My next video that I will be uploading will have the teams that are in the postseason up on the screen, and I will be making my predictions for the 2024 Stanley Cup playoffs. Okay, as always, if you're new to this channel and you like this type of content, please feel free to hit the sub button. I'd be very grateful and very appreciative. Until next time, take care.